called. Notice this meeting has been posted in accordance with Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code Chapter 551. Would you all pray with me, please? Dear Heavenly Father, we're so grateful for the many, many blessings that you brought before us. We thank you for the opportunity to serve. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today to make decisions regarding Perryton ISD. Be with us with all the decisions and discussions that we have, that they be within your will for us. Guide and direct us in everything that we do. In thy heavenly name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
About the shortest agenda that I have seen since I've been here.
Not a short meeting. Yeah.
Review and discussion of construction plans. Called the meeting because there was concern with four of y'all, and I will just, to start the meeting, just open the floor. What concerns did you have? What did you all want to discuss? Y'all have the floor.
More or less, just going over the design of things and make sure they're exactly how we want to, since most of us were under the understanding that this was just the conceptual idea of the project, not the final.
Just want to overview, a new update
Yeah.
where we're at.
Make sure we get everything covered that we want to get covered, because, I mean, for the money that we're spending, get everything that we can out of it.
And there's a lot of people in the community want to know exactly what we're doing with the money, since the bond did pass, and there really hasn't been anything about what's going on, what phase we're in or anything, so it's just a clarification of where the process is and what we're planning on doing with the money exactly. Because the impression they got is this is what it's gonna kind of look like, but it wasn't set in stone exactly.
Let's go.
So
Yeah,
that's
I think we deliberately built enough flexibility, including on the budget side, that we have that ability to kind of fit everybody's needs. But I think keeping everybody, this transparency and keeping everybody informed is exactly what we need to be doing. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the community trusted us with that leeway, knowing that it ultimately, they voted that we trust y'all to get this done right.
Yes.
So, and having this workshop information and showing the minutes of the meetings, the people that were on the committee that, or not committee, at the meeting, knowing those people, trusting those people also, it was a lot better understanding that what was supposed to be happening is happening. We just hadn't had an update.
Okay, yeah, and I would say now's the right time to be doing this, because we're just in discussions with our construction company. We do have some time to set these plans, and I think that in discussions with construction company, discussions with you guys, I would agree with you. The impression I've been given with, and I wasn't here, but the impression I've been given about those meetings and what we were doing was that there was some flexibility built in, that these weren't our final plans. So I think us doing this right now is a really good time for us to do this, with kind of the goal of, let's take a look at our plans, let's decide together, but not with the board, but also with staff and community, pulling them together. Once we decide, throw some ideas out there, kind of decide the direction we're going to go, make sure that, that our staff is going to be really the end users of this. I want to make sure they have that we don't make decisions that are going to be contrary to something that's useful to them. Same with the community. But I know that that's you guys' concern as well. I don't see anybody around this table that's going to disagree with that. So I would say, if you guys want to begin with giving us kind of an update of where we're at and where we've been, and get us to the point where we're at.
See a microphone on? Lapel the microphone.
It's actually right here. If I put a couple more easels up over here, is that okay?
Yep.
Yep.
Is that okay? Go ahead and get started.
Please do.
Yeah, and if you guys would kind of move your microphones over there, it'll probably catch him as he talks. That's a good
A
idea.
lot of microphones.
You get to keep yours pressed. same as what I have.
I think I just got one right here, so thank you.
These guys back there need anything? Got some extras there. Yeah, we're glad to be here to discuss all this with you and kind of get you up to date where we're at. So I thought the place I would, well, introduce everybody. I'm Greg Hoosman. I think everybody knows me. This is Peyton Whitehar. He's with Hoosman Builders. Steve Butler's the architect. Joseph Hoosman, he's the engineering. And Dan Summers, he would actually be the guy here eventually running the project here on site. So if we can hear all the discussion, we can adjust things as we go if we need to, as we're out there. But basically, I wanted to, in the packet, I wanted to show, this is basically what was passed in the bond, and this is basically the front and back page. So on the back page, it basically had the layout of the elementary and the layout of the high school and the field house on it. So we took basically the layout that had been worked on and budgeted for the elementary, and that's what this plan is right here. And what this is broken out into 3 phases. Phase 1 is primarily the classrooms and hallway, which shouldn't change as far as the layout and stuff. It's not going to change, and that's what we're going to focus on first. And also the same thing when we get to the high school. We'll talk about that in a minute. So, and we had a meeting about 2 weeks ago on phase 1 of the elementary. And we were planning to have another meeting on the 22nd to get some more questions that have come up, and as far as some layout of some areas, possibly we're going to try to get some more finishes out there for people to start looking at the finishes and things like that. But then from phase 1, which is primarily classrooms, hallways, and restrooms. Then we get to phase 2, which is basically the south side, which is basically classrooms, hallways, and restrooms again. And then phase 3 is really the kind of the new addition, and where things, some walls and things may change, like in the administration area and things like that, and some restroom additions. So. And with that said, I thought we might, are there any questions about, kind of how we're going about it?
So no big changes from what was proposed till today?
As far as for phase 1.
Right, phase 1.
Right.
There's been some discussion, about some of the areas, particularly I think in phase 3, which is, and.
It was the big question mark anyway.
In those, we won't be working on phase 3, for, maybe a year and a half before we get that far to start working on those plans. I would say with phase 1, we're probably somewhere between 40 to 50% down the road on those plans. And on phase 1 of the high school, we're probably around 15 to 20%. We're basically making sure the layout, we've got to have everything scanned, we're making sure our floor plans match existing, and we're looking at the electrical and the plumbing and all those sorts of things. And one question, like over here over at the elementary, there's been some discussion of this. The purpose of this may change. If it goes from one thing, from a multi-purpose area maybe to classrooms or something like that. My biggest concern would be, do we have the utilities in place to make sure we can make that change?
Yes.
And one thing we have is, y'all had actually redone the sewer line 3 or 4 years ago or 6 years ago, right through here. They tunneled all the way underneath this building and put a new 6-inch sewer line in, which went right underneath these two restrooms. And that goes through this courtyard area too. So if we change to if we changed to classrooms and even had, you know, scenics or restrooms or something like that in there, we would be able to go tie into that sewer line and do that. So, you know, so your electrical is gonna be overhead, your water's gonna be overhead, you know, everything else would be overhead. So our biggest concern would be we have a sewer line in there to tie into if we need to.
So obviously your confidence level is higher on your first phases. You know pretty much what we're gonna do on phase one.
Yes.
So anything we're doing in phase one is not going to disrupt anything that you kind of got allocated for phase two or phase three. We're gonna proceed with this plan. Phase one's pretty well locked in at this point.
Okay, phase one,
As far as
we're basically
structure,
renovating, you know, existing classrooms. Where you're going in there, you're going to, you know, basically demo, you know, everything off the walls, demo the floors, or we're gonna see if we can save some of the floors possibly, because they've been replaced recently. You know, demo the ceilings, you know, all the millwork, all the boards, and just take
It's
all
like take
that
it down
out.
to the studs, basically,
And
on the
you-
floor. Like take it down to the studs would be like the
Yes.
term, basically.
Yeah, and that, actually, well, the walls are plaster,
Something else.
are masonry, so we'll actually be going in there and furring all those walls out with new studs where we can get all the new electrical in and conduit and stuff like that, so we can, you know, and it'll be brand new finishes and the new electrical.
So
And
you mentioned I'll just need to go back to your sewer line issue there, where we actually had to put a new sewer line in. There's nothing we're gonna do as far as what we're doing in phase one that's gonna affect our optionality on the rest of the project?
Not that I'm aware of, but if we do come across something, we'll start dealing with that. And we would do that during the planning process.
So my only concern with moving forward on phase one before phase three is somewhat hashed out, is how it will impact those classrooms edging phase three, where you place the
Yeah.
windows, if we're expecting that to be a solid wall on that side, or a
It'll be
wall
a
of
solid
windows.
wall
I
there.
think it'd be solid.
So
wall.
it's
I don't think
intended to
it'd
be a solid
Yeah,
wall
it'll be a
already.
solid
Yeah.
wall.
That's the only thing I don't love with filling that middle part in is
Yeah.
the lack of sunlight in those classrooms. But that's,
How much input are our guys gonna have? And I say our guys, Alan Kemp and our IT guy, Ivan Moreno. I mean, I know that those are two pretty big deals, and maybe Ivan even more than Alan's, just where, I mean, as far as the,
Well, I think Alan, he'll be at every meeting that
okay,
he wants to be at or can make,
okay,
and, you know, we've already had several with him.
okay.
And like next week, we're actually gonna come out and run a camera through this sewer line.
perfect.
And what we wanna find out is, as a locator, you can locate, you know, where the end of that, it's a camera, and you can locate where it's at, but also as they tied into each sewer line tied into that line, you know, as you run the camera through there, you'll be able to see that, and we wanna document that. And so when we do the renovations, that we either, you know, cap that or we tie it back in. Yeah, so, but we're gonna go survey that line, and Dan Summers actually gonna be here, you know, working on that to make sure and document, because not only can you get the location or where that connection is, but you can actually get the depth of it too, which would be really handy.
There was conversation in the minutes from this meeting, talked about a sewer line there that was, I know we replaced that one going down, we had a drainage issue and sinking and rising floors underneath it. But there was a conversation about a line that needed some additional work.
In the gym.
Is that one
Well, I
that's,
think it's right in here. And, you know, there's been conversations about when this sewer line gets clogged up, it creates a wet
Backs
spot
up
out
into
here
the-
in the gym, like a floor drain or
In the
something.
gym office.
okay,
Her
So-
office is carpeted, and that second
Okay.
line spots up.
And also one thing we're gonna do,
There's no floor drain or something in there that needs to be addressed.
and right here, we're gonna figure out this area here, there's gonna be a faculty restroom in here. And we're gonna scope that line out to see if it absolutely needs to be replaced. My guess it probably does. It'll probably end up showing up being cast iron. I doubt it. I doubt it'll be PVC.
Most of that in the building gas and it turns to clay.
But if we redo that, we will actually run a new sewer line out to the west in time to a sewer line out here.
And then kind
Make
of
that
plug
all
that
new.
other one. Okay,
Yeah,
so
make
that
that-
would kind of fix that problem
Yes.
in the gym.
Yeah.
Without,
It should.
And the technology part will be taken care of too. I know that that was a big deal at the junior high, you know, that I've heard complaints about, that there wasn't enough IT prep work that went into that. As far as, you know, bandwidth to the classrooms and cables that could have been run.
Yeah, we run quite a few
Okay.
cables, but I think one of the problems that over there is there was not, what's the term for it today? The glass.
Fiber.
Fiber optics. There was not a fiber optics
Back
to that building.
Yeah.
So it was actually being done overhead, I think from here to over there with an antenna. I think that was, but that's my understanding. I think that's been,
Yeah, that's what you
Renegade, it took
you guys
much.
approved that about
Yeah.
a month
Yeah, I
ago,
knew that
the
we did
fiber
that.
connection between the campuses.
but I think the bandwidth was probably
That's
because
gonna
of the
be huge.
antenna. But I know we actually put over there, we actually put a cable tray in all the hallways to lay all that cable up in and stuff. So,
Like, I was curious, what kind of cost difference would it be if the inside, that phase 3?
Here.
Yeah, if it was just another wing connected over here?
that would be.
You're saying leave this open and do a wing here?
Right, and just, cause there's a hallway on each end to connect it. And then that would get rid of that temporary building that's sitting there.
Isn't that where your parking
No, there's a lot of yards there.
There's a temporary building there.
You got walls here, you'd have to do, obviously.
Yeah, you'd have to,
I would say would probably.
Getting everything in there. I mean, that's
sewer
one of
line.
the reasons I was curious about all this kind of, is for questions like that.
Just off the top of my head, I would say that would probably increase the cost of that by 30 to 40% probably. And what's nice about filling in areas like this, you simply don't have any extra wall.
I mean, that's what I was.
And when you don't have those extra walls, you don't, and with that structure, you don't have all those big footings and things. We're gonna have some columns in there with footings, but you don't have, it'd be quite a bit actually. So, and that's phase 3, so.
Cause I mean, I had that question because I knew if that was something to happen, then obviously it's gonna mess with phase 1.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Mhm.
I wanted to ask those questions before.
If you want to go that direction, we would.
Well, I mean, if it's gonna be that much of a cost difference,
Yeah.
then, I mean, I get that.
Yeah, I don't think that would be
Yeah,
in the budget.
yeah, we're not gonna get any more square foot for,
Yeah.
I mean,
What are we gonna have to do to the, electrical services?
Actually, Joseph, they've been working on that, and I don't know if you want to talk about that a minute.
Alan, did you want to say something, Fred? I just wanted to address that atrium area, as far as the drainage issue goes, we about flood that thing every time we get 1.5 to 2 inch rain in there. There's no place for it to go. There's 2 4-inch lines that come out of there and feed out to the west side of the building here, which as you all know turns into a lake, so it don't go anywhere hardly. But we've had water get in the classrooms 2 or 3 times since I've been here, because it gets up high enough in there. We've actually pulled the caps on the cleanouts for the sewer line. It's a French drain right
Do we wanna start a
What's,
swim
um,
team? We could just.
Yeah.
What's the link to that?
Diversification.
So Alan,
Time out, just a second. Donna, could you put your microphone over there kind of in front of Brittany and turn it on? I just got a text that nobody can hear anybody back there talking.
You can repeat.
so
Yeah.
Alan, you're saying that, filling that in is not a bad idea for the drainage. At least it would help with
If
drainage.
we don't build it in, then we're gonna have to put a French drain, we're gonna have to do something in there to get the water out, because when we redone the roofs, used to, they kinda sumped and they kinda went off a little bit more off the sides than in there, but since we brought them up to code and they had to drain, that's all pitched now, and half of that water goes right inside that atrium area, and there's no drainage to handle it. So flood classrooms. That's what I'm getting at, it gets back up.
Are we adding any plugs to the classrooms?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
I did have a question about what is our max, 25 is the capacity for classrooms before we have to like notify parents, correct? Is it 22? Okay, I'm
Well,
dyslexic.
I think it's 22 up until fourth grade is the general rule.
Fourth
22
grade
to
was
1.
when it changed. Okay,
Yeah.
I was just confirming that the rooms were going to be outfitted for the max expected occupancy. Not that I think we'll reach it anytime soon, but it would be sad to have classrooms full of 24 and only have slots and charging
Right.
capacities for 22 computers.
Yeah,
Is
we're,
the ceiling gonna be raised above
Yes.
the other ones, right? And then we're
Yes.
talking about doing some windows in that maybe.
well, if it's a multi-purpose area, I would think so, yes.
Yeah.
If classrooms, maybe not.
Yeah.
Why would
If
you
it's
put
a
lights in a
class-
classroom, in a multi-purpose and not a classroom?
Well, it depends, I guess, where the classroom ended up being. And generally, that would be a pretty tall ceilings in classrooms. And typically, you don't put real tall ceilings in classrooms, but they could be.
If we have to.
More skylights.
And
The existing building
Any
is a
side
bit
lights.
shorter. It was back in 1958, 1961. Most of the air conditioning was coming below the ground. And then so they didn't build it with as much space above you as you would typically see in buildings.
'Cause a lot of the ductwork was underground and with just heating.
So how many classrooms could we fit in phase 3 there if we went classrooms?
We were kind of looking at the other day, I'm thinking 5,
We could put 5 classrooms there.
4 to 5.
Easily, with some design work, maybe, we'll have to see, but 5 classrooms, I think.
And at that point, the idea would be to look at moving kinder to the right campus, correct?
And that'd be plenty of room for that.
I think with 5 classrooms plus some of our current classrooms that are being used for different,
Shuffle
we can
them
make
around.
those classrooms again rather than different uses right now. I think we could fit it.
And that
That
would help
would
with,
kind of be the end goal.
that would help with the transition for kids from kindergarten to first grade. That building change, I think I've heard is very difficult for parents and children.
So what would be your plan, Mr. Brown, on a multi-purpose room there? I mean, what,
If we made that into a
more of
gym,
a PE area?
it would be more of a PE area, or, when the weather's really bad, we would have indoor recess, but honestly, that's only a few days a year, that we would use it for that. I think classrooms are more needed and more useful for the right campus.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, the kindergarten campus is
Yeah, I think
in
we
as
should go
bad
more that
the need
direction
as
and worrying
the.
about it.
Yeah, I agree.
Can-
But that's, as we, and we've talked about it in here, as we look at our student numbers, as we look at the facilities that we have, being able to absorb kinder into this building is certainly a worthy goal going forward here.
It would help with pickup and drop off too. On the highway. Where in the process with asbestos testing are we? We ordered that.
We, probably in the next month, we will actually have someone come down and for phase 1 at the elementary, test all that.
And we just assume if it's there, it's in the other, or we have to have all of it tested at some point.
Well, we would test each phase as we go.
And you dealt with asbestos in the junior high, so.
Yes.
Well, and so basically, every place
Part
you
of
see
that.
color will be tested before any work is done, because they've got to know what to do with it, so,
Yes.
It's a
And-
hazard.
yeah. And even the place where there's no color, we can get it tested and just clear it all out if we needed to.
It's generally the first thing. So, any other discussion like that at the elementary as far as phase 1, 2, or 3? Because phase 1, we're having a meeting on the 22nd. On the 28th, we're having the first meeting for phase 1 of the high school, on the 28th. And then there'll be meetings scheduled after that also, as we move forward.
Well, and just informational for you guys, and since, we do have some people watching our meeting, phase one is really classrooms and just updates in classrooms. We're picking new cabinetry, we're checking out for how many electrical outlets we need. The right staff and teachers and administrators, along with Alan, we're leaning on them for a lot of these choices because they're the end user, they're the ones that can be using it. So that's all we're doing right now in phase one in both of these areas, is a lot of these little updates. There's not any real structural changes, and we're beginning to look at that. We haven't made any decisions yet, but we're starting to ask those questions. What kind of cabinets, what kind of flooring, what kind of things, small things are we going to need? So just as an update, that's exactly the spot we're at right now for Wright.
Yeah. And on the 22nd, I think the things we're going to be discussing here is millwork. Steve's been working on some plans for the millworker cabinets for the lockers and things like that. And so we'll have to get approved. And so we know what the teachers really want for that. We've got several ideas on that. And then we have a little bit of discussion in the music room what we're going to be doing here that needs to be talked about. And I think he has the restrooms laid out, the new restroom layouts done that we'll be showing them on the 22nd. And then we have a little bit of maybe discussion right here, maybe going on right here in that area versus a teacher's workroom and faculty restroom and things like that.
And some teachers had talked about more of a parking pull-in area like it has on the high school, but it sounds cost prohibitive to add that, and we don't want to take money away from something else we really need. But it would be really valuable while we're working on concrete things to add a sidewalk where those teachers standing to pick up kids in both directions. I believe we have one south side, we have one on the north side. So as a kind of a compromise, give a little bit safer place, because there will be now, especially if we throw kindergarten over there, there will be 100 more kids.
And, as we, get phase one, the plan's finished, and then get that priced out.
Yeah.
And, as we do that on both campuses, we'll have a better idea of what our budget's gonna be looking like. And our hope is that when we get to phase three, that we have some room to move with things.
Yeah, and in the explanation for the bond, they were talking about a secure play area. So was that talking about new play equipment or just a fence?
Now, in the budget, there's like $360,000 in the budget for the playground, south of Wright. And at this point, we don't have any plans drawn up, or really the direction we're going.
Yeah.
And basically, I think Greg is going to get a team together to start looking at that.
But it is
As far as secure area, we are considering putting an 8-foot fence around the playground, because according to the new TEA standards, that makes it a secure area. We would probably be doing that with some of our safety funds rather than bond money. I mean, we've gotten some safety funds from the state. The feedback we've gotten from the staff as far as the playground at Wright is that the equipment is not necessarily the issue. The issue that they would really want to address is the asphalt. The asphalt that they really like having the blacktop there. That really for their bad weather recess. When the ground's wet, they all have recess out on the blacktop, and so they really like having that blacktop available. And so their priority is getting the asphalt addressed rather than playground equipment. But now that will probably it may take all of that budget to get that asphalt addressed. And we can look at options on that. But if in their input was, the blacktop is the priority for them. So that's at least the input they gave us.
And it's my guess that'll probably happen not this coming summer, but the summer after that.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll get done in time to get that done this summer. So, would y'all want us to go over, kind of the items that we went over at our last meeting, and to show you you know, but basically showed some pictures of projects we've done in the past, what the hallways would look like, classrooms would look like, things like that, if y'all want to see those. So if you-
Can we put that at the last? Because I think for the board, especially some of this that need to leave early, I think they'd rather travel
Okay.
through some of these other plans. Am I right on that?
Okay. Okay, so I'll just move on to the high school one. Okay, so on the 28th, we're gonna have our first meeting on basically phase one of the high school, which is primarily classrooms and hallways. It would include the library, which we'll have a discussion on what people are thinking about in the library. But other than that, I think it's pretty much all hallways and classrooms. It will include the home ec, it's really, yeah, the home ec area. But it's pretty much classrooms. So,
I might almost put that the home ec to phase two, because I feel like that will take more planning. And to deal with the scopes. There just seems like that would be more questions than just the standard, but that's up to y'all, it's your
yeah.
job.
Well, I mean, you know, in phase one, you know, we're on phase one of the elementary, we're hoping to have by the end of April, you know, having those plans ready to go. You know,
Kids get out.
hopefully go out to bid by the end of April. We'll be bidding it out in May. You know, one thing we talked about is trying to get construction going, you know, at some during the summer. And by doing the hallways and classrooms, I think that's very doable. And I think it's gonna take a little longer, so, you know, so our goal is to have the plans ready to go on that at that time, but the high school, phase one, I'd have to look at my schedule, but I think it'll probably be 3 or 4 months after that.
It's just a lot more complex, and it's been added on.
Yes.
And the requirements for those CTE classes and what the teachers need.
And there is a little, you know, about twice that, not a little bit more.
No one's gonna love me mentioning this, but as we have sporting events and arts events at the auditorium, it would be really nice to have a family bathroom there somewhere that, I mean, it's not as big a deal to take a little boy in the ladies' restroom, but it is really hard for my husband to take my daughter to the restroom when something is going on.
I would agree.
And I know more money, more problems, it's gonna be expensive, but that would be my wish list.
I had my granddaughter with me the other day, and I was looking for a family restroom.
And they're not,
Couldn't find it.
the football stadium, I absolutely am like, that's brand new, we have the flexibility to do that. Y'all will hear it a lot, but that would be something that would serve our community for a long time.
We got it on the list.
Thank you.
So,
Did that for you, Blake?
and, you know, so this is phase one. Phase two is basically the green area, which is the cafeteria, you know, the office. That phase two, the office area up here, and filling in this courtyard area here possibly.
On phase two, one of the things I was curious about, what plan do you have designed for? I know the way that y'all are wanting to do the open area where the kitchen is and where the students would actually eat in that area. The concession stand that currently sits there, it sits out on the east side of where the cafeteria is. Right in that area, yes. So didn't know if it was something that would be more logical to actually fit in with the kitchen and the redesign. Because I know there's some places that actually have their kitchen kind of with their concession stand, and it gives them more flexibility to be able to cook and do some other things. And it's kind of more of an open design in that area. Plus it moves that concession stand away from the hallway and pushes it back.
And we won't be starting on phase two of the plans, and, you know, until we get phase one, you know, finished, and they'll be,
Right.
that's gonna be somewhere between 6 to 9 months down the road.
Right. Well, but the way
If
it
we wanna
currently
do something
stands,
different with that, then we need to do it now before the start of phase two,
Yes.
right?
So right here?
yes, sir.
Mhm.
And that's what
Because
I,
that's our current concessions.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, and it's
And you're
our-
saying doing something,
It
Well,
would
if
be
we're gonna
nice.
be redoing the kitchen and having to redo some of that area,
Yeah, we just.
possibly looking at moving it towards the kitchen area, where it would serve both purposes, but yet clear out a little space right there as well.
yeah, but that would be in phase two.
Yes.
Right, but it's something that we probably, that's what I'm saying.
Well,
we
I
can
mean,
look at it.
it's in phase one right now, but
Is it?
depending on what we do with it.
So it's
Yeah.
actually in phase 2.
It's
Well,
really
this is-
hard to see.
That's the snack bar right
Yeah.
there.
And
So,
then this is phase 2.
I would love a set of plans
oh,
that
okay,
did
I
not have a
thought this
phase
was
written on
phase
top of them.
2 and that was the.
No, this is
Oh,
phase
this
2.
is
The yellow kind of is phase 1.
My husband's colorblind, he wouldn't have been able to.
Okay. But we've done that in the past. We put the concession right next to the kitchen. And one issue that seems to come up when we do it, the kitchen people just flat don't like it. They
I
got
was
people-
gonna say,
They got
That's
people
their
from the
domain.
public in their area.
they,
Get there
right,
in the morning.
they get there
things aren't the
all,
way
they
left
get
it.
there, cleaned it up, ready for the next morning's breakfast, and then after a game, they walk in and they have to do cleaning, and that becomes, it
Could
can
they be
become an
adjacent?
issue.
Mainly, it just needs to be addressed to make
Yeah,
it
it
a
needs
much
to be
nicer,
planned for.
much nicer concession stand than it is now.
Yeah, it can be planned for.
Usually there's a door connecting the two, and a lot of times there's a rolling door
Yes.
that connects the two. And, so
So it's
if you're in the concession stand, that, they're gonna be in the kitchen.
Mhm.
And that just, it really, the people in charge of the kitchen,
And those ladies'
generally
job is
don't like
hard.
it.
Their job is hard enough as it is. I don't want to make their job harder, but we'll work on that.
That's one thing to think about.
Can you look at what it would cost to attach the IT building with just a basic hallway for security purposes, so those kids don't have to use a badge in those doors?
And one thing like
Really
on the
bothers me.
bond, for some reason it really didn't have any work up here.
And that's fine.
But as we go through phase 1 and phase 2, I figured if that would happen, it probably would be happening in phase 3. So we have, a year and a half, 2 years to be thinking about those
But
things.
yeah, as far as, so ultimate priority is this works great and serves the
To try
students,
that.
but security going on is not getting less stringent. And
Mhm.
that would just
Yeah,
eliminate, there's, how many, 2 doors, 3 doors that go back there?
Are we talking about a hallway? Are we talking about just a fenced in?
I mean, there's a lot
area
of
or
room
something?
there that
Yeah.
instead of doing like this, add another classroom or something.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a pretty big grass lot right there.
Yeah, there's a little bit of grass and then that teacher parking lot
There's a lot of utilities that runs right there.
there. So, if it's just a
And if
secure,
that's the case, then,
something secure,
yeah.
because those badges, we got to go through the high school and got locked out of things from one side of the building to the other, which means the system worked, but
Mhm. It, I mean, let's keep that on the list as a possibility. I'm not sure as we progress, how much we're gonna be using that IT building. We may be trying to phase that out of some classroom work.
I'm trying to do like a maintenance.
Yeah, or
storage area.
something along those lines, or reuse it so that it doesn't work with students.
That's great.
And that's a possibility. That's nothing, these are ideas, but, so, at that point, we wouldn't necessarily have to have a hallway leading to it, but if we, I was gonna say, let's keep it on the list so that we could look at some secure, making it a little more secure. You could
We need an
do it
8-foot
with,
fence. Like,
well, and you could do
whatever.
it, with some, a covering for weather and an 8-foot fence, or, and not just a chain
believe
link,
there-
but something that looks decorative and,
Yeah, I believe
something
there
along
is a
those lines.
covered, or there
Part of it.
was, there was
Mhm.
20 years ago.
Mhm.
Just part of the way across.
Greg, do you see, is there anything we're doing with CTE that we're looking at in the future that's gonna change anything we're doing with the design requirements here?
Well, and that target's been a little bit of a moving target, so something we discussed today might change in 2 or 3 years, but, so yes, as we update some of these facilities, some of the, like in that little building, we may not have to use it as much. We may not have those
Or maybe
classrooms.
found robots and-
It could, it becomes, engineering or, we could maybe address it and let it be an auto mechanics or diesel mechanic shop in the future, I don't know. So to your question, Richard, as far as what's happening in CTE, I think what we're doing right now is some good plans for us that keep us going in the right direction right now for the immediate future. There may be some change, like there's a design in here for doing a floral design area. I'm not sure that's something that we need as a district, but I think that's in some of our later later plans?
Well, we are looking at, I mean, we've been
That's in
looking
phase
at
one.
other CTE programs,
Yes.
expansion, some of the
The
technical
floral is in
stuff,
phase
so.
one.
What's gonna keep
Is it
coming?
phase
I mean,
one?
new deals are
That's
gonna
what-
come every year, new
Well,
ideas.
I think
that's
it's like
correct, so I
culinary
mean, do we do things something
Well,
smart now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
When I had a gentleman last week tell me that he's with a wind tower company and they put money into other schools in Oklahoma for drone training and all the stuff to maintain them. And that they had, I mean, we just talked about it for a little bit on the phone, but they would consider doing something with the school.
so, and
Have
we,
that also.
we would definitely be interested in that. I mean, right now, our aviation teacher has been changing focus and beefing up his drone training for the kids, because that seems to be a what's the word, burgeoning industry.
Yes.
And it's something that I think kids may be able to get a job doing. But, you know, a drone pilot wasn't even in my mind 15 years ago, and now it's a job. You can get paid to be a drone pilot. So
Very well, we're training people. to use
Scanning
them.
all the wind towers, all the electric lines, all the different stuff.
Agriculture, there
Agriculture.
are drones that spray.
Oh, yeah.
Man, they're cool.
checking fields, checking crops, checking herds. I mean, it's something I think could be very useful to our area.
Oh, I bet they love that.
So back to your question, Richard, we're trying to keep this in mind of what programs we're offering or could offer.
Flexibility.
And I think we need to keep these areas flexible so that we can adjust.
I just don't want to shut doors in front of us, because that's a general trend. I mean, it looks like it's a trend everywhere.
Yeah.
So we just don't want to shut doors in front of us.
One of the things that I would probably suggest on our future iterations of the plan is the area that is entitled floral design, and maybe be just changed to CTE. It's just to be a CTE area that leaves us open, leaves it flexible to be able to put additional avionics training or insert CTE program here that comes up
Right.
4 years from now, 10 years from now, that we need to have in that area, that maybe just a general CTE area might be more appropriate.
When like that last meeting, we talked about the broadcasting, setting it up as any kind of that studio type
Any
of
number of things,
whatever
we would have an area specifically.
that would work for that. Make sure it's in the right
Yeah.
spot.
A flexible area. Keep
And then
it
even like
flexible and keep it
The
open.
wood shop, I mean, you can go from high school into construction pretty easy, I think.
We've done some drone classrooms. Basically, it's a large classroom. You just want to make sure you have the doors big
Wide
enough to
enough.
where you can
Right.
bring a good sized drone in there possibly.
That makes sense.
In the floral, when you come to floral, typically you're gonna have a good sized sink in there, like maybe a 2-pot sink in there. And then you're gonna want enough power to have some pretty good sized refrigerator.
The question came up earlier about plugs, the number of plugs and the additions and things, Bryce brought it up, and that's what I'm saying again, is, I don't know what the requirements for the floral thing is, but we don't want to limit ourselves with a specific design, so I think what Wes is saying is right, leave ourselves enough capacity where we allow for communications issues and we allow ourselves for power issues and plumbing issues.
Yeah, computing is going, and the power required, I imagine, is not gonna get any
And
smaller.
Bitcoin mining, yes.
Are
How
there
big
any,
for you?
are there any CTE
We
programs?
can heat the whole building with
Yeah, no
that,
kidding.
with servers, we won't even need heaters.
What's that?
Are there any CTE programs that you've ever heard of that we don't offer here?
There's a lot.
Because
Oh.
of programs that if we move something in the right direction, it would be.
There's plenty of CTE offerings that we don't offer. I mean, there's 60 or 70
Some of them are regionally
pathways,
needed
right?
and some
Yes.
of them
I've got a
So
copy-
what
I've
we
got a
try to
copy from the
focus on,
conference.
what we try to focus on is what does our area need?
Sure.
You know, what do our kids, if they graduate high school, what can they use right out of high school? And so like right now, welding, CNA, medical field, these are 2 areas, mechanics. These are, our community needs those desperately. So we're keeping our focus on a lot on those areas.
Because the
Like
state
you were
may
saying, you
change their
didn't see
mind.
I mean, it's hard for any of us to see the drone industry developing the
Yeah.
way it is.
Yeah.
So again, allow yourself enough flexibility
Yes.
so we can add the programs
Yes.
as we kind of transition here and
Right.
we're looking at things. So.
Right.
And the state may, I mean, because who would have thought CTE and training students to fully be certified welders would be something the state wanted you to do, 15 years ago. It serves our community though, so even if the state suddenly
Yeah.
doesn't require that, is it something we will?
always gonna be a bonus.
Yeah, if it's a vocational that is functional, something we would keep doing. If all of a sudden the money wasn't there for floor design, probably not, but robotics, probably gonna keep going forever.
So let me try to bring us back to the plans, because as far as Greg, as far as the plans you have right now, and let's think through phase one. Is there anything in phase one in the high school that is locking us in, that we wouldn't have some flexibility to change it later if we had a program change?
I would think with what y'all talked about today, I would think with the drones, we just need to make sure, maybe the doorways, we had enough access. I think at least 6 foot, 2 double, 3 old doors, or maybe even 2 or 4 foot doors, access to some area where, you can get into the hallway possibly to get to, but that classroom actually has,
And I
has
do
enough
believe
space to get into it.
that floral design is set up in phase one.
Yeah.
And then in the floral, just make sure we get enough, get enough electricity in there to run those refrigerators.
Yeah, you just.
Go ahead, Steve.
I was just gonna say, in that area of vocational education in the back there, if we leave it flexible enough to where it can be a variety of things, down the road, it may be a widget design, that we can have enough electricity and enough plumbing and enough sewer that we can devise easily space for a, whatever was required at that time. We don't even know what's in the future going to be.
No.
Should we entertain moving the CTE area?
I thought that it was his and not mine.
Grab a sandwich.
So if you keep that wide open,
I think that'd be
flexible
a conversation.
spaces that have enough electricity, that be 220, it could be 120, it could be easily plumbed. I don't know what that means exactly, other than service, mechanical, ventilation,
Yeah, make it where it can be run in the future,
Yeah, it can
leaving
provide the
space
space easily.
for them to run more power or whatever,
Right.
so that.
Have enough-
My brother-in-law's an electrician, he hates pulling wire, so if we make it where it's easy to change in the future, that is something, we don't have to run it, but
Right. The
have
panels are
capacity,
there.
panels with space.
I hate redoing things, that's the most expensive part of my life. So if we can just, if we can allow, I'm not touching that one. So I think if we can allow for the capacity, that we're gonna do in the future. Our student population has stayed, over all the little booms and busts, has stayed actually relatively constant. Doesn't mean it's going to, but again, that affects, probably should, where I see probably demands increasing is actually if we are able to start offering more programs for the kids that are preparing them for what we're doing for jobs, so.
If it needs to be a drone classroom, it could be a drone classroom, it needs to be a auto mechanics classroom, it can be easily converted to
Maybe floral drones.
fluoro, whatever.
Which auto mechanics is gonna get to be more of a battery.
Drone
Not, but-
floral
No, I
delivery.
didn't say that.
I hope not, but I
Telling
mean,
you.
Yes,
things are getting less mechanical, more electrical, all the time.
Tip.
Is there any plans to change the size of some of those lopsidedly sized classrooms? Or is that cost prohibitive? Like those old science rooms that are now art rooms on H1, in the middle between the two phase
No, right
twos?
here.
They're enormous.
I don't think there's any plans. along
Not
those
at
lines
the
right now.
moment.
I didn't know if that would be, I mean, that's up to the high school. They're the ones using the building. But if that was something they asked or suggested, but moving that hallway wall is expensive.
Start moving walls, yeah. It
Yeah,
gets-
costs more money. But maybe use the back of those rooms for storage. But I think the art classroom uses theirs. You need a lot of room for art storage. That would be
Yeah, I
something
say
that
art classrooms generally need a lot of
need a lot of
space.
storage and a lot of space.
Because
And
they have
no-
shelves of pottery and arts and
Well, like I was curious, I mean, I know it's phase 2 and 3 down here, but like this portable building right here.
Library,
I
sorry.
mean, it's got brick around it, but when you walk in the halls in there, it's like a trailer house or in college. I mean, it feels like I'm gonna fall through the floor. So, I mean, why aren't we building out, connect that, and then there's not no open area, it keeps it secure. And if we don't have a plan for this anyways, move that money to something else.
Doesn't that for phase 2 get connected though, Jed?
Well,
Right
I
there where it
guess,
says-
yeah, but, I mean,
I believe that
You could
phase
add-
3 was just enclosed concrete. I don't think it
if you
had
closed in
anything.
that whole, made a full size L shape right
Okay, I
there,
see what you mean.
you could get, it'd be more square footage. For, I mean, no,
And you're saying get rid of this building?
yeah, I mean, it's a portable building with brick on it.
How long does a portable building last? Like how much more life?
What's
do
the
we have?
depreciation on
We got a
that?
lot of years
Yeah.
off on each of the junior high.
Here's the accountant question.
You gotta laugh at him.
Too long.
Well, and that's my thing, if we're gonna spend $40 million on these schools, I think it's time to get rid of the temporary, in my opinion.
Make something that will last 60 years instead of something we'll have to replace in 20.
I mean, if you go remodel your house, you want an old tin shed sitting beside it?
No, but I think this goes back to our
Well-
moving kinder, right?
Not
No,
even,
no,
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 I mean.
No, I'm
There's
saying, I'm saying the general idea is back to go ahead and do it, make the capacity to do it now.
Yes.
Oh, yes, yeah, I mean, I think
Do it
for what
right.
we're
way.
spending, let's try to get every biggest bang for our buck that we can get.
And then again, not close doors in front of yourself.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I mean,
Phase 2 would be starting, start looking at, somewhere between 6 to 9 months down the road. And if that's something that we want to get that out of here and get that rearranged, that's something we could start kind of doing a little preliminary work on that in the next few months. Start to have that conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's keep it on the list.
Could we get a copy of that without all the phases on top so we can read what things are sometimes? I can't read it.
Oh.
It still has the phases on top, so you can't read what they are. Other than that, you can walk up to it.
We could send you one.
I can't read that either.
Get a magnifying glass.
And I'm not,
Yes.
I don't.
Yes, we
Should I
should.
loan these to the young lady on my left?
So you take a picture with your phone and then
And then
you
you
zoom in.
zoom in. Maybe my printer won't print accurately
You
enough.
sound like a
This
boomer every day.
happens. That's
Somebody tell my parents I just had that conversation. They'll
They
say,
didn't explain the different phases, and we tried to keep it so that the classes, we didn't have to move any kids out of there. And so these sectioned out, A, B, C, D, whatever.
yeah.
Okay, sorry.
I remember that from last time, but I'm like, I can't read what the groups are trying. Yeah.
You can take this one home, so.
All right. Charlotte will have it pink.
And
and
as
glittery
we
in
get,
5 minutes.
some things that have been talked about, I think it seems like people are not sure about this.
Yes,
So like,
that.
this, like maybe get this out of there maybe. And I think as we go through here, when we get down to the band hall and choir, it's been talked about some, it's trying to keep the existing band hall, turn it into the choir and theater arts and maybe build a band hall somewhere else.
The reason that Mr. Morales and I come up with that
The band
magenta courtyard right there was so that it would be under,
security. Yes.
and that it would be concrete, and the maintenance to take just to maintain that courtyard, especially if you still have an open area there.
Yeah.
That was the reason why it was part of it. It's not a major part of the plan, but that's the reason why we addressed it.
Yes, it makes sense, but it is vaguely unassigned.
And then, if we're working on, getting through here in an hour, or a little over, on the field house, kind of the discussion that's been going on, and I think we'll probably start working on the design of the field house probably during phase 2, go down the road 6 to 9 months. And some of the discussion has been, make the concession and restrooms a separate building.
That's more expensive, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, but then on the field house, it's been talked about as maybe bring the square footage down a little bit on this. You know, not make these locker rooms so large.
And that weight room was,
Yes.
it's bigger than it looks on the
Yeah,
page.
it's
How many?
150 stations in it?
That's
You
what, I
know?
remember it being and the money
No,
would
that's
cost
prob-
to outfit those was high, so I would like our powerlifting coach involved in the planning
No,
of
there's
that.
about 50 stations or so.
Okay, 50 is better than, I remember the word 100 and we were like, whoa.
But like, it wouldn't be against the bond to move this whole part, like against the rangerette.
It's okay if they touch?
I think that's up to y'all.
I mean, because
And
then,
if it's up
Then
to-
it's just a concession stand and bathrooms
well, and then it's not another satellite building
with security
to
issues.
keep secure.
That was brought up, that it, like, if we're so worried about
And
security, why are we
And
putting
if it's
stuff up?
cheaper to build against the building than a new facility.
Yeah, put that on top of that tennis court that's terrible they've been parking on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's already, it's not like it's a drainage issue, it's already sealed.
Well, because then, with all the locker rooms out there separate,
It really only services
it
football,
only
soccer,
serves for those, and if it's all connected to the school, then it would be more
flexible.
flexible with who's using them and what's going on. And everybody would be under one roof instead of,
Yeah, I would say, you know, if y'all think that's the direction y'all want to go, you would let us know and we would start drawing a preliminary plan.
'cause I mean, that's a, whatever, big I-beam or structure, the rangerette building, are those easy to build up against?
That's the pre-engineered building.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
It's
That
half
shouldn't
brick
be a
and half
problem.
metal.
Should be.
We might look at that as an option, because then that does make the thing that I think everybody's gonna notice first, which is the concession stand and improving those facilities. I think that pushes that up the list there a little bit.
it could be
Makes
done
it
pretty
so
quick.
much easier, quicker.
And I'd just say when we do that, we've got to get rid of the old ticket booth and
We're gonna have a party, like with the Berlin Wall.
and get rid, and
We like-
talk to like the sports booster to have one organized building for all of it
I think that's
instead
a good
of
idea.
3.
hodgepodge together with every different era of building that we had.
Let me bring up something else. Have we looked, is there any need to look at the unloading zone in front of the high school?
It's an
Street width,
expense that I
street,
don't
ex-
function.
street width, and, because you've got room up there to put a pull-off area in there, and that,
When I was curious about putting it all right here, cause then the waiting line could go all the way back behind the school instead
that's
yeah,
of
but I'm talking about.
everybody being on Jefferson.
Yeah, but I'm talking about on Jefferson where you're you've got a bunch of traffic there.
That's what I'm saying.
But you
Okay.
want-
Get it off of Jefferson.
But you want all the kids coming in and out
But
of
you
the
want
main
to control your
entrance.
entrance point.
There we go.
And I mean, that'd be, if we did something like that, make sure there's there's already 2 entrances right here. So if we close that off and only make one,
Yeah.
we're still knocking
For,
one out.
for
I'm just saying, you've got
aesthetics,
enough
if
room
you
to
scooted
widen
it
Jefferson there,
backwards.
this would be a city involvement too, but I'm saying that it looks like a problem.
But they
It
said
looks
they
like
were gonna work
traffic
with us.
issue.
Oh, there's a bit,
On whatever
that
they-
needs to be addressed big time, the traffic in front of the high school.
Yeah, and I'm saying is now the time to look at it because you've got the city, I mean, we're gonna have to talk to city anyway. And I think if you widen and just pull the pull-off area there, you control part of the unloading issues that are going on in front of the high school right now.
Is that
Now,
intended
are
to be
you-
used for the buses or for parents also?
For the front of the high school.
Yeah, the parking lot area. Because I do think some of that current, that will address some of the problem on Jefferson with the current parking lot there that's proposed. Because they'll be pull off and they'll have less traffic right there in front of the high school. Now, they'll still line up kind of down the street a little bit. But,
We could still pull off of that east-west street and not have an entrance onto Jefferson and have parking out in the middle, kind of come around and back to it
And you,
as a drive. Could do that. And not enter onto that parking for Jefferson.
How big is that drawn to scale compared to the junior highs?
The same.
It's the same, okay, see, it's, I would say.
I just don't wanna put a bunch of parking spots in front of the school that we're about to remodel, so we can't even see it when you
Yeah.
drive down the road.
Just for aesthetics, I think that's probably.
Yeah, but I don't see, there isn't any parking on this,
Well,
correct?
It says.
There is
it's-
18 spaces.
Are there? Okay, I can't see it from here.
Yeah, that
Well,
was,
we got a grass,
hey,
got a grass lot across the school that should be a parking lot.
Hmm,
you and the band can talk about that.
band doesn't use it all.
Do they not?
They
No.
don't use the whole thing.
But you're gonna talk about some considerable expense to
Yeah.
put in a parking
That's a
lot.
lot.
I mean, I don't think we have the room
That
for
was
that.
my location
No,
for
you
the
don't.
Center for the Arts. You guys are forgetting me.
The center for the kids that read good and, what was that, Zoolander show?
I think we did actually downsize that. I took the parking from the junior high, put it on this site plan.
For scale.
I might have,
Just roughly to,
yeah.
And again, that would be in phase two, so
yes, we have some,
we got time to have that
Time to think
discussion.
about it and see what we do.
Yeah,
But it's, whichever direction,
Yeah.
it's not gonna affect the phase one movement anywhere.
but it is
I know
something
we
to keep
kicked
in
around
mind.
the two
safety
entrances
and
there,
security.
the one for the sports and auditorium.
Buses still drop off over there behind the manhole, right? Were they
But
still
yes,
loop
yeah,
around?
they still do
Been a
the,
long time.
in kind of the student
Yeah, how does
student
that-
parking lot.
So for
They pull
basketball
in and pull
games
out.
And dance recitals and everything, will everyone use that front door for everything, no matter what?
No, I think well, I think we'll use it more, but I think we'll probably continue to
I
have
think there's
people
gonna be
coming
still an
in.
entry over
There's
here.
still gonna be
Yeah,
an
we'll
entry? Okay.
probably still continue to
Okay.
use that. I guess that's a south entry there. Especially if you know it's an event that goes into the Rangerette or something like that.
Yeah.
But general, during the day, public entrance will be.
Will be in the
Yes.
front.
For school operation
To where we
hours,
can
but
still
for
lock
us-
the school off during those events compared to school. going on.
Yes.
When y'all talk about the paving out front of the high school, just listening to y'all, I'm not sure if I understand what the issue is. You know, I guess I've heard a few different things, so.
People park on both sides of Jefferson, which
Mhm.
pretty much turns it into a one-lane street.
it's dangerous, and then kids run
And so
between
even
cars.
whenever people are parked, leaving with the kids, they're still trying to get around the car that's parked in front of them with another car coming
Yes.
and then
Right.
another one behind them.
With a phone like this.
Yep.
And then another kid walking in front of the street. And
Yeah.
Yeah, it needs to be one directional traffic for pickup and drop off, and should it be Jefferson, or should we be picking up, more next to that science wing you're not gonna work on? That gets it off of 850.
Because there's already a parking lot right here.
Yeah.
And then an easy drop off,
Mhm.
because then that would throw all the people waiting back to the back of the school instead of.
But then you're not using the main
But in
entrance.
front, in
Right.
front of the entrance to high school where everybody's coming in the mornings, I think we've got a traffic issue there. We've got, I think,
That's
a
what-
safety
safety.
issue there
Figure out how
too.
to address
So I
that.
think that would be good to look at as an option.
So Stephen, and just to go back to what you were saying, are you saying you could open up an entrance on this street over on the north side and travel in front of the high school?
When you
Yeah.
were talking. If you could come around from here,
Mm-hmm.
and then through here, and loop back around.
Whoa,
That's
that's a
what I'm
lot of concrete.
That's what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we got, I'm sure we don't budget.
I don't think we need to loop around, but if we just had traffic one direction would be.
Even if you come into it here, and
Yes.
exit it here.
And then out there.
Mm-hmm.
Cause there's a light
Yeah, I know, right
right
here.
there. And that way people could go.
Could the city change it to one?
I even had an idea where we
Good
come
luck.
up here and
Yeah,
come on
that-
into here.
That's one of
And just block that off
main
completely.
thoroughfares.
For school
I don't
Right there
pickup,
at the light,
I think that would have been,
you know,
we could make it no parking on the other end.
then you,
Parking prohibited until.
but it's an issue that needs to be addressed.
Make it fire.
Yes,
it will.
I agree with that.
Yeah, that's all keep
We,
thinking
we'll,
about this one.
we'll fight that. I just,
It's a
Yeah.
couple steps
People will
down the
still
road
do it.
here, but, let's,
But what if the fines go to the school?
we need to do a little study and just sit around
I
studying
don't
the
think
traffic.
the city will
what's
let us do
gonna
that.
flow. Because I really don't have a good feeling about if we concrete all the way around. Then you've lost all the pretty yard area and
That's what
this and
I
that.
don't-
It's just concrete. I don't care
No,
about
I
that
don't
either.
like that. No, I love the yard, and
Yes.
I was not
Grass.
looking at it. I mean,
We've got time to do some design.
Yeah, we gotta have something for our maintenance department to do. We gotta mow that grass.
No, I think maybe conversation
And
with
the
the city
buses,
too. at the
the
same
buses
time.
are right now.
Picking up and dropping
Yeah.
off right there.
Oh, they are already?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's
Most of
some
them
there
do.
already.
We do have a few that'll drop off on that south side,
Mhm.
because I've seen them in the morning pull
I think
through,
there
but
is
most
about
of them drop off on
8-inch
that north side.
City gas main line that runs right down that whole side too, down through.
Coming
On
down
that north
11th or
side.
coming down
that
13?
North side of the.
Coming down 11?
Neat. Yeah,
Cool.
there
So that's
is.
gonna be something that come into play on that there.
Build over an 8-inch gas line.
Everybody's
it's
doing
just gonna be
it.
a rock driveway.
Be all right. Not seeing that.
Talk to your lawyer.
We're growing though. Yeah.
Can I ask a question before I leave?
Sure.
Are we getting any relief? When we ran the estimates for the project, we ran at a pretty high cost scenario. A lot of the supply lines were backed up. Are you seeing any relief on those issues right now?
It seems as things, some things have come down some. And it seems like the labor market is freeing up some. So my hope would be, yes.
Or at least stay.
I won't
But
hold you to it,
But
but
do I
yes.
absolutely know that? No.
Rumor has it you're really good at getting everybody to get it.
Yeah, we work at it.
Yeah, I was like, well, I'm glad he's on our team.
Yeah, my hope is that our budget will work for us.
And I'm sure the high school will.
We've got steel coming down. I mean, on the oil and gas side, we've got steel prices coming down. So there are I'm seeing some relief in some of that stuff.
And the lead times, when we just did the HVAC project here, we just finished up with, the lead times on some of the HVAC units were like, 50 weeks. And I think, what are we at now?
The moment, 22 now.
22. Yeah, of the same type of units. So,
Right.
so that's. So I suspect the prices are going to be more competitive. We just finished bidding the project out at Canadian, and we had a pretty competitive, bunch of southern bidding it. So.
Well, it seemed like we did the estimates here on kind of peak supply line problems.
Yeah.
I would hope we get some relief on some of it.
Yeah,
So.
well, that's my hope too. So, well, is there any other questions we can answer?
Just wanna make sure everyone's on the same page and
Okay, yeah.
the community knows.
And we'll have 22nd is the next one for Wright.
For right, and we're gonna be going over a few layout, items and in millwork primarily,
And the 28th be really the first
the first one. on
set
the
down
high
for
school.
the high school.
And we will
And
have
we have a
this
school board
announced
meeting
ahead
that
of time so that everybody's aware of it, so everybody can come in and take a look at it.
When is the meeting on the 28th?
Remind everybody.
29th, sorry. 29th, 29th?
Our meeting's on the 20th.
Yeah, and this planning meeting is on.
I don't know that these are general, like, open to the public
Oh, maybe
type
we should
meetings. They're
announce.
more like
Okay.
committee meetings,
Committee
but
meetings.
we'll definitely
It's
keep
the
everybody,
It's the planning committee,
yeah.
but that includes us.
That includes
Yes.
us, yes. Okay,
But then our next board meeting,
yes.
which I'm sure this will be topic of discussion for the next 25 board meetings, is the 29th.
And on our side,
And I'm not gonna hear.
we're primarily gonna have agendas for our meetings, and then we're gonna have minutes and issues that come up. A new business get kicked to old business, and they don't go off of old business until they're resolved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this was
And I
great.
like the minutes coming off of
information
there
in this was great.
that show all of the issues that were addressed and the answers
Yeah.
off that. That's helpful for those that weren't at the meeting.
Yeah, and looks like we got some good, new
Suggestion.
business on,
Right.
Yeah.
that will get put on there.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
you very much.
everyone for doing this.
All of y'all for being here. Appreciate answering questions for us. Big project.
Woo.
Lots of questions and lots of You know, our desire at the end is that we have, you know, facilities that are gonna,
Serve our kids
for
for
a long, long
60
time, be able to
years.
educate our kids and educate them well and be flexible enough
Mm-hmm.
to be able to change. I mean, we think about when these buildings were constructed, if anybody that built these buildings had any idea how we were using them today, using their design today.
Right.
But currently coming up with a design that's gonna work with both today's stuff and with the stuff that we can't even imagine
Yeah.
for tomorrow.
The technology is just gonna be insane. Like, we just can't even fathom what's gonna change. I just hope we're still educating in buildings and not online.
We got one shot on this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Get it
Get
right.
it good.
That's good.
Yep. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Board, grab a sandwich.
We'll declare this meeting adjourned.
Got it.
Yeah.
Sorry, kids.